It only takes one bullet to shatter an empire. One trigger pull to rewrite the fate of millions. History isn't always shaped by grand speeches or noble laws. Sometimes, it's shaped by a single second of violence. Assassinations, cold, calculated, and devastating, have toppled empires, started wars, and turned peaceful nations into battlegrounds. Today, we look at the moments where one person's death changed everything. It was June 28, 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary was riding in an open car through the streets of Sarajevo. Earlier that day, a grenade was thrown at his motorcade and missed. But the would-be assassins weren't done. Later, by sheer accident, the Archduke's driver took a wrong turn, right past one of the conspirators, a young man named Gavrilo Princip. Princip saw his moment. 2 shots. One killed the Archduke. The other his wife. That wasn't just the end of a royal couple. It was the spark that ignited World War I. Over 20 million people would die because of that wrong turn, and a 19-year-old assassin with a pistol. But that wasn't the only time a bullet sent shockwaves through history. Fast forward to January 30, 1948. India, newly independent, was trying to hold itself together after a brutal partition that killed millions. At the heart of that fragile peace stood Mahatma Gandhi. He had no bodyguards, no weapons, just ideals. But not everyone agreed with his vision of unity. A Hindu nationalist named Nathuram Godse believed Gandhi had betrayed India by being too soft on Muslims. So as Gandhi walked into a prayer meeting, Godse pulled a pistol from his coat and fired 3 times at point-blank range. Gandhi collapsed, whispering, "Oh God." With him died the last hope of reconciliation. India descended into deeper religious divide. The man of peace was silenced, and his absence echoed louder than any war cry. In America, November 22, 1963 still haunts a nation. President John F. Kennedy, young, charismatic, and full of promise, was riding through Dallas in a convertible. He smiled, waved. And then, the unthinkable. Gunshots rang out. The president slumped over, his wife screaming beside him. The alleged shooter, Lee Harvey Oswald, was arrested. 2 days later, he too was shot on live television. To this day, conspiracy theories swirl. But the impact is clear: the US lost more than a leader, it lost its innocence. The idealism of the 60s gave way to Cold War paranoia, to Vietnam, to protest and disillusionment. But not every assassination ends a legacy. Some, like that of Martin Luther King Jr., give rise to something larger. On April 4, 1968, King stood on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis. A sniper's bullet struck him in the jaw. He was pronounced dead an hour later. The US erupted. Riots swept across 100 cities. But so did something else: resolve. The Civil Rights Act had already passed, but now, the movement had a martyr. King's dream didn't die, it spread, louder, stronger, unstoppable. And then there's the assassination that might have saved millions, but failed. In 1981, Pope John Paul II was shot 4 times in St. Peter's Square. He survived. But what many don't realize is that this moment became a turning point in the Cold War. The Pope's later support of Poland's solidarity movement shook the Eastern Bloc from within. His would-be assassin, Mehmet Ali Agha, had ties to foreign intelligence services. Some still believe it was a Soviet plot gone wrong. And yet, the shot that was meant to silence him may have helped dismantle the Iron Curtain. Assassinations are brutal, immoral, and yet undeniably powerful. They don't just end lives, they redefine eras. They're the ultimate what-if in human history. What if Franz Ferdinand had lived? What if JFK served 2 full terms? What if Martin Luther King hadn't been silenced? Would we be better off? Worse? Or just different? Sometimes, history turns not on the decisions of kings and presidents, but on a shaky hand, a loaded weapon, and 1 second that can't be taken back. This is Trivia Tales, where one death can rewrite the destiny of millions.